Welcome back to the Educated Ignorance Podcast right here on the For Frequency's Sake Podcast Network. We are live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter, the artist formerly known as. And we want to thank everybody hanging out with us on this beautiful Friday, early evening, late afternoon, depending on where you are and what you're doing in life. Whatever it is, thank you for making us a part of your day. A couple quick notes before we get moving forward. We have a loaded show to get to you. We took yesterday off. It was worth it. The games on Wednesday were, in a word, bad. Yesterday we take off. We refresh the juices a bit. And the games yesterday were banging. The games tonight are going to be banging. This weekend will be, hopefully we have more than one game. Banging. Regardless, we are excited. Okay. Let's thank some of our friends that allow us to be here first. And one of the ones that we are super tight with, we want to thank, we are, as always, powered by our friends over at Beat the Book. Do you want a space where you can interact with pro bettors? Beat the Book is the app for you. Beat the Book is a social media betting app where you can follow your favorite cappers and even get all their picks sent directly to your phone. Download Beat the Book today and follow us at the link in the comments. I will be posting that link here in a second. Your boy's doing double duty today. Producer Danny is on he is on leave. He is on a cruise somewhere. So we are hoping that Danny is enjoying his day off today, and we hope that he is ready and right to go next Monday. Okay, let's begin. We have, like I said, a loaded show today. What a day yesterday was. And what a night, the conclusion of one of my favorite NBA playoff series in general ever was last night. By the way, if you're hanging out with us on any platform, please like if you do. We really appreciate it. If you're on our YouTube page, please subscribe. We broke through 100 subscribers a couple months ago. We really would appreciate it. Also, be a part of the conversation. Follow, mainly the easiest way is either on our Facebook or our comment section in our YouTube channel. We will be able to be a part of the conversation, or you can DM us on Twitter, any questions or anything like that. Let's all hang out and enjoy it. So last night was the conclusion to one of my favorite playoff series ever in any sport, let alone just the NBA. And I'm mad at Danny because he's a Knicks fan and he picked this meme, but whatever. Don't be mad at me. If you're a Sixers fan, I love the Sixers. I'm a Joel guy. Let's let's talk about all of it here, even though let's see, there we goes. That do we have the eulogies today? There we go. We do. All right, cool. We do have some eulogy stuff to get to. My corner here is okay. We're fine. Regardless, so as you saw, 118-115. The Knicks knock off the Sixers in another great game. The Knicks win in 6 over Philadelphia. The 76ers are done. We'll talk about the Sixers and their memorial and all that good stuff later. We're going to try to kind of knock through this game in general because it was insane. So the thing I was wondering the most going into game 5 was if the Knicks after the Sixers kind of have a demoralizing game 4 loss, and then if the Knicks started hot in game 5, how would Philadelphia respond? Well, the game was never really out of reach of anybody. I think the largest lead in that game was like 8 or 9. Both teams continue to trade blows. We go down the stretch. Then Tyrese Maxey goes crazy, forces overtime, and the Sixers win. In this game, you would think after the Knicks kind of had their mental breakdown / collapse / whatever have you, you would think that the Sixers would try to ride that and start hot, but no. The Philadelphia 76ers love to remind us why they are the kings of incompetence when it comes to closeout games, because they did not show up for an entire quarter and a half. Now, credit the Knicks because, listen, we shouldn't be shocked that this team that has kind of lived off of how hard they play, their effort, and all of their intangibles all season long, we should not be shocked that this team got off the mat the way they did, went into Philadelphia and absolutely beat the brakes off the Sixers in the first 6 minutes. They were up at one point like 33-9 in the first quarter. It was hilarious. 36-22 after one. The Sixers were able to close themselves back into the game, but Joel Embiid sustained that game. He scored, I think, their first 9 or 11 points. If it wasn't for Embiid, who knows how bad this game could have been, and it probably would have been a 20 or 30-point loss. The thing I thought that was most impressive by the Knicks defensively in this first half, and really all game, was they basically did everything they could to take away Tyrese Maxey. And as much as I have adored and loved the growth of Tyrese Maxey's game, the stuff that I've talked about at times, I did it earlier in this playoffs in the first couple of games, especially the Heat game. It was a disaster when they threw that junk zone at him. Is his decision-making in the pick and roll, it's just not refined yet. He shows that he's not a true point guard at times when it comes to that. He's always about a half second late on making decisions, and the Knicks were throwing multiple bodies at him, and he was struggling to kind of read and react. And that's just stuff that he's going to learn and have to figure out, and I think he will. He's an awesome player. Listen, at the end of the day, what Maxey has done in this series has really put himself in a new level of what we expect and what we see from him. Maybe we shouldn't be shocked that he had a bit of a letdown game, but I think a lot of it had to do with the pressure the Knicks put on him to try to take him out of the game, because I thought it was great. For New York, we mentioned that they had, we were kind of wondering, like, all right, who maybe needs to step up for them, because Brunson's had these huge scoring outbursts, but no one else, it seems, has come along for the ride. Well, that was just kind of false, because you look around and you have Hart having some games. OG Anunoby, I think OG Anunoby in game 4, 5, and 6 was superb. And then tonight, the real thing is, what the Knicks were missing was a true, legit second scoring threat. And this will sound crazy, but Dante DiVincenzo was that for the Knicks in February, March, like in late January, February, and March. He was their second best player, really, from like the trade deadline onwards. And he had not been good in this series. He obviously had the huge shot in game 2, but he never really had a moment in this series where you would expect from him, where he would come out and get going, get it, looking for his shot and having a dominant night. Last night was that night. DiVincenzo was looking for his shot early. He was commanding himself on the floor after struggling. He was 3 for 17 from 3 in games 2, 3, and 4, and 5. And in game 6, he was 5 for 9 from 3. I thought DiVincenzo yesterday was awesome. Lost in all of this was the Buddy Hield game, which is nuts, because I had just tweeted out how bad Buddy Hield was because he threw a hand grenade at the shot clock to Joel Embiid after passing up an open look. Look, I thought Hield yesterday was incredible. He was hitting tough threes, and that's what you traded for. Like, Buddy Hield was this desired piece of a trade deadline asset for like 2 or 3 years, mainly by the Los Angeles Lakers. And then the Sixers end up getting him. And all of a sudden, all of a sudden, he is here in this stage, and like, he is terrible. He's playing bad. He's like not even shooting the ball. It's like, all right, dude, we traded for you to shoot. We need you to do something. And the Sixers needed it because they weren't really getting any production. Like we're going to talk about Tobias Harris later. What an absolute waste of space of a human being. Like, what is his point? What is his purpose of existence? He is first team all ski mask. But, Hield came in and changed the game for them. Batum, I thought, played really good. And somehow, after everything, Philadelphia led at halftime. But, of course, in the third and fourth quarter, it was Jalen Brunson, who once again excelled and passes every test. And people are going to do their best to be like, we're not going to be hyperbolic or no hyperbole, or let's not put the cart before the horse. This dude's insane. He is one of the best players in the league. What he has done all season long, what he has done since coming to the Knicks, has been a revelation of what happens when you have like these types of players on your roster, like the level that they can go to, the tough shot making. Becky Hammond, great take on who you can and can't win with in the NBA playoffs, because Jalen Brunson, like, I want people to understand, Jalen Brunson was the first guy to ever have 4 37-point games in a row since Michael Jordan. He's the first guy to have like 35 and 10 in a certain stretch since like Oscar Robertson. He's the first guy to have 3 straight 40-point playoff games outside of Jamal Murray. And like, these are only dudes on these lists. So yeah, he is in rarefied air. And yes, Jamal Murray also is postseason rarefied air. Like, what? Like, just if you don't believe that, then you're an insane person. Brunson has levitated to a new level. He is at a new mark of what we should expect, what we should see, how we should talk about this player. Because it's not only the fact that he was the best player on one of the 5 or 6 best teams in the league. It's not just the fact that he really is the heart and soul and carries this team. It's the fact that he was a top 5 MVP candidate this year. Probably should finish that. He's either going to be first team or like the top guy on the second team in all NBA. But it's not just all that. It's the fact that he carried it over to the playoffs. And he was good last year in the playoffs, but like, this series was an absolute tour de force masterclass these last 4 games. Game 1 and 2 were struggles, and I thought in game 2 he was bad. I thought in game 2 he kind of froze the offense out. And I love Jalen Brunson, but like, just being honest here, we're being realistic and talking about what we saw. I thought he froze the offense out. I thought there were times that he would kind of just, I thought he allowed the game get stagnant on the Knicks side. And from there, I thought the Knicks did a poor job down the stretch, and it allowed the Sixers to get into it, and the Sixers should have won game 2, but then obviously chaos ensued. I thought Brunson in game 3 did everything he could to kind of keep up with Embiid, but obviously they lost. In game 4, what he did in the fourth quarter of that game, where the Sixers are up like 12 in the first quarter, they instantly erase it to start the second. And then in the fourth quarter, he was just going blow for blow and dominated. Game 5, he did everything he could. He was the only guy in game 5 that really could get anything going. And then last night, in the third quarter, let me pull up the stats here. Like, this is insane what he did last night. 11 points, 6 assists in the third quarter. So he plays all 12 minutes of the third quarter. He has 11 points and 6 assists. He is a part of pretty much every basket that's being made, every decision. They're running screen and rolls. He's attacking the drop coverage. He's putting Oubre in jail. He's putting Batum in jail. He's drawing fouls. He's getting the ball to open shooters. Everything that you can ask out of him, he is doing. And then in the fourth, he says, I'll do you one better. 14 points, 2 threes, and 3 assists. And of course, he had the assist he had back-to-back threes after a tie game with 6 minutes left. And these are the moments that this team has just owned. In a lot of these games this year, they've been great in the clutch. And in this series specifically, they have fed off of, they have winning players, and other teams just don't have the amount of guys that are going to do what it takes to win like they are. In the fourth quarter, it's a tie game with about 5.5 minutes to go. They come out, Brunson off a screen, attacks drop coverage, rises and nails a 3. Coming back, transition, Hart to DiVincenzo, drive and kick to Brunson, wide open corner 3, fakes, holds, nails it. 6-0 run, they get another bucket, they go up 8, and all of a sudden it was tied, and in 15 seconds the game is shifted. Brunson making these plays, and then of course, final play of the game, after which, after everything that happened, the Knicks go up 9 on the OG, or 8 on the OG dunk, which was crazy. Hartenstein makes a play, which we'll talk about in a second, and the OG dunks it, and they go up 9 and then or 8 or whatever it was, and the Sixers come all the way back. But half a minute to go, again, it's like the Knicks are going to collapse again. Holy shit. But Brunson makes the play, drives baseline, draws 2, chucks it up top to Hart, who hits the 3. Then Brunson, of course, nails both free throws to put the game on ice pretty much. Like, this dude's insane. He is so goddamn good. And I hope people are appreciating when you have guys like this doing this on this stage. And what he's done in this series, what he has done as a Knick, it's incredible. We talked about the we talked about the side of it for like the winning players portion, right? And for the Knicks, they have a trio of guys that I just thought were incredible in that aspect. I thought OG Anunoby, Isaiah Hartenstein, and Josh Hart were all incredible in those winning plays. These are the type of stats I love. These are like chaos. Like, I'm a broadcaster, right? Shout out to Moline Basketball. I got UT football stuff in here as well. Listen, so no one gets offended or hurt. I'm just being, showing what I got on today. But we're talking basketball. So things I love when talking basketball games, like chaos plays. What your defense does to create havoc on the defensive end. Hartenstein, and Anunoby combined 9 deflections, 7 loose balls recovered, 22 contested shots, 5 second chance points, and 18 points off turnovers. That is how it's done. That's the shit that gets me going. You've got Hartenstein and Hart tipping loose ball or tipping rebounds out. You've got guys making the extra effort on rotations. You've got guys diving on the floor first for loose balls. This series, listen, and the Sixers showed me something. There have been times in the Sixers era where I had questioned whether or not they had what it takes to win. And I still think there's a gap in what it really takes with some of these teams. But Philadelphia could have keeled over in Game 5. They could have easily keeled over last night after getting their dicks kicked in for a half hour to start the game. They did not. It just turns out the Knicks are better at this we're going to find ways to win thing than most teams in the league. Okay. It's time. It is time to mourn the Philadelphia 76ers. We don't have a song today because Danny basically resigned. But we will miss you, Philadelphia. Tobias Harris. I don't think he knows he's playing. Listen, those numbers are skewed. Harris in elimination games. But it's going to make it seem like much better than it probably is. So here's where I want to start with this. I'm going to start defending my guy. I don't want to hear the Joel Embiid takes. I don't want to hear he's not a winner. I don't want to hear any of that shit. Okay? The motherfucker averaged like 33 and 12 with a surgically repaired knee and Bell's palsy. Last night had 39 and 13. Like, I understand there's moments late in these games that you wish went better. I wish they executed better late in these games. They would have won Game 4. Okay? They probably then games last night turns into games. It's a Game 7 on Saturday, and the Sixers are still alive. I'm not an anti-Knicks guy. I'm not a pro Sixers guy. My favorite player, of course, is Joel. I'm just being honest. That's where it's at. But I don't want to hear any of these lazy ass takes talking about Embiid, the Embiid era, always injured. Yeah, he's injured. Yes, he's fragile. But can we not admit that he got hurt because fucking Jonathan Kuminga's uncoordinated dumbass fucking did the Hulk Hogan leg drop on his leg back in February or January or whatever it was? My man got to the top rope and went, ooh, yeah, and did the Randy Savage elbow drop going for a loose ball. Can we all acknowledge that's how Embiid got hurt? Or are we just going to act like Embiid got hurt stumbling out of bed, rolling out of the top bunk or something? Okay? We talk about how people want to throw out how this team is doomed and whatnot, backing Embiid. He is no player in the league has worse on-off numbers than him. The moment that Joel Embiid goes to the bench, the Philadelphia 76ers organization basically turns into a junior high team. Embiid, I know they had one stretch last night where they actually won, the non-Embiid minutes, and at the start of the second quarter, I think it was, which is shocking, by the way. You should just hang a banner for that. Like, won a stretch of the non-Embiid minutes by like 9 points. Like, that should be a banner up next to the Villanova ones that Jalen Brunson was looking at last night. But it's been the same thing year after year with the Sixers. When Embiid's on the floor, they're one of the fucking best teams in the world, and when he doesn't play, they suck. And it's not like a him in versus him out of the lineup thing. It's just if he sits for 4 minutes, the team dies. And what happens is he has to play 40 minutes, and all of a sudden, by the time he has to play 42 minutes, 43 minutes, and by the time he gets to late in these fourth quarters, he's not the same player. I'm not making an excuse for him in that aspect, but I'm just saying we need to, when we have one opinion on it, we also have to have another. We have to prove context. We have to prove like physical, realistic, and show tangible evidence on why each thing is real and each thing is not. Let's talk about the Tobias Harris thing. Because in this fun little graphic, and I know this would go a lot harder with the song, but we don't have it today. Everyone sent Danny a postcard. I feel people think I'm going to be ragging on him. I'm not. I hope he feels better. I hope he rests up. The Tobias Harrison elimination game stat is shocking because I feel like that's fake. But the Sixers as a operation, like Tobias Harris has been, like, does anybody in the National Basketball Association play more in more meaningful games, but play more meaningless minutes than Tobias Harris? Like, again, he's 17 and a half points in elimination games. Like, that stat has to be all time. Like, this motherfucker we thought Brad Beal's closeout back against the wall game last week on Sunday was all timer. Like, this is a Mount Rushmore candidate, folks. 0 points, -10 on 0 for 2 shooting in 29 minutes. He makes like $50 million a year. Some awful team like the Pistons or the Wizards or the Hornets. Please don't put him with Brandon Miller. I like Brandon Miller. Or, goddamn, please, Spurs, do not. San Antonio, don't do it. Tobias Harris deserves to play in basketball purgatory, but that's fine. He'll deserve it. He'll enjoy it because he'll make way too much money while he can play in games that don't matter, because Tobias Harris was just simply not cut out to be in games that mattered because he's an irrelevant player in the NBA. I cannot believe that this dude just wasted a space on a basketball floor for 29 minutes in a game 6, do or die, and got his fucking Tony Snell on. Incredible. Fucking credible. Insane to me, man. That's just wild. I can't believe that. That's just mind melting when you think about it. So we go through this little graphic again. The Sixers have cap space. God, what a picture. Poor Joel. The Sixers have cap space. Tobias Harris does not know he is playing. Look at that face. Look at that. That's a locked-in player right there. The Sixers do have cap space, $65 million available. What the question now is, what do they use it on? I think you got to go and get. Listen, Paul George will be a tasty name. You have to do what you can. Hope that Kelly Oubre doesn't want a big deal, because I think Oubre was awesome this season. Bring him back if you can. This team just needs a third. Like, I don't love the whole go after a third star type of thing, because I think that is a bit redundant at times. But if you do go get like a Paul George, it's not player redundancy. They need somebody to help stagnate the roster when Joel Embiid needs to not play. Like, not just not play in games, but like when so he doesn't have to play 45 minutes. Like, that would be a huge start going forward. And that's not even just getting another center. That's just like getting a player who can shoulder a load with him on the bench. That's the main thing. Um, I think that'll be huge. Don't let last thing for the Sixers. Do not let people tell you that their window is shut. But because it's not. If they have Embiid, he's a top 5 player. If he you have to believe he's due for a positive regression moment in life at some point. Maybe he's not. I don't know. But I'm just saying this. Don't let people tell you their window is shut. But that can also be said with this being noted that the window is not opening up any further. Okay? Like, the window is closing. It's not shut. But don't let, especially with how Maxi's becoming a dude, like a legitimate dude. But don't allow people to tell you, don't let people it's shut. But also, it's not opening up wider than it is. Like, the window is what the window is. It's not getting any wider. So I say all that to say, congratulations to the Knicks. What a series at the end of the day. That was incredible sport, and we are all better for it. Let's see where we're at here. All right. So, shout outs to the Pacers yesterday. Game number 5 or game 6 win. Hold on one second. I can't. We're just texting my friends, letting them know how hilarious it'll be once the Leafs beat the Bruins tomorrow. Okay. By the way, reminder: if you're hanging out with us, like the show on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, we really appreciate it. Okay, another big time Twitter audience. We love to see it. All right. So last night, game 6, Pacers Bucks. We don't have too much on this. Not that I'm not watching other series other than Knicks Sixers. I'm just saying I just have a lot of thoughts on those games because those games are fucking insane. The stuff that has come around, which did come around, was that the Pacers just were more willing to do stuff. Like, they were able to make the Bucks uncomfortable. They had more ways to make the Bucks uncomfortable, and the Bucks just didn't have enough answers, and a lot of it had to do with their injuries. I like that last night Indiana turned the wick up again to 1,000 and said, basically last night Indiana unloaded the clip. They said, we have to win game 7. We cannot allow this game or game 6. We cannot allow this series to get back to Milwaukee for game 7. They unload the clip. They put pressure, make the Bucks play at a pace that they weren't comfortable with. And I really like that Indiana multiple times in the series flipped that switch. I thought the biggest thing in this game was obviously the bench points. They outscored the Bucks 50-10 in bench points. Obi Toppin, 21 points. TJ McConnell, 20 points. Like, the Bucks are a disaster defensively, and it's something that reared its ugly head again here today. And speaking of the Bucks, oh boy, listen, I thought Milwaukee did a fantastic job in this series of just doing what they had to do. But listen, they are 10-13 in the postseason since winning the championship. Chris Middleton was awesome, by the way, in the playoffs. Look at those numbers: 24 points, 9 boards. A lot of interesting questions on what the Bucks should do. We're going to talk about them here in a second. But shout out to the Milwaukee Bucks. We will definitely miss you, Milwaukee. We really appreciate what you did for us. Chris Middleton, we appreciate you coming back to the world and showing us that you still got it. Let's talk about the problems for Milwaukee. The 3 things right off the bat: too old, too slow, too unathletic. Outside, when Giannis isn't on the floor, this team doesn't have an athletic burst. They don't have guys that attack the paint constantly. And just in general, the roster's slow and they they're not quick enough. Older guys. I don't think this is a Doc Rivers issue, though I don't think he helps. We all know what Doc Rivers is and his issues that he has. This is mainly a roster construction issue, and the problem is they just don't have assets. They don't have stuff that they can do to go improve their mid-level or their their the remaining bits of their roster. It's a struggle for them because of how constrained they are outside of the fact that they're paying these guys and they moved a lot of picks, obviously the Drew Holiday trade, then they trade everything for Dame. Like, they're struggling. I think what they have to do, listen, the bright spot of this last couple weeks is learning Chris Middleton is still one of those guys. Middleton was awesome in the playoffs. He was carrying the Bucks at every chance he could. The problem was when Dame went down, they really pretty much blew their opportunity. Like, it just sucked because Dame got hurt too, and they really didn't have any other punches outside of that. I think you just keep this big three together for one more ride. You do everything you can. Listen, for the GM, for the people a part of this organization, tomorrow's not promised. You have to sell every single thing you can to try to make next year's version of the roster better. And I think that's like they can do here. They have the chance to do right, like compared to what some teams like Brooklyn did, or like the Clippers in a sense, to a degree. They are a better position than a team like the Suns, who are fully ankles above their ears screwed when it comes to making roster construction moves. The Bucks have a chance to keep this core unit of three players, even though they're highly paid, and just doing what they can to build around it, because there's an easy path there. There's they have some defense in those three guys. Like, Middleton's okay. Dame, we know, sucks at defense. Like, that's a problem that they're just going to have to live with, is the fact that as long as they have Dame, they are just going to continue to get lit like a fucking blowtorch by opposing point guards. It just is what it is. But they have Giannis, who's one of the best players, obviously one of the best players in the world, but one of the best defenders in the world also. The thing I'm saying is that with the Bucks, they need to get athletic. They need to get some shooting. Get rid of Bobby Portis. Get rid of Pat Connaughton. The Brook Lopez piece I could give or take. Send Pat Beverly to fucking Yugoslavia or some shit. I don't care. Pat Beverly, by the way, I didn't want to waste my breath on him because he's useless. He's a bum. I don't if you know him and you're watching this, I'm sorry. Send this to him because he sucks at life. What a fucking waste of space on our earth for a human being. Like, throwing the ball in the stands multiple times, saying what he said to the reporter. Patrick Beverly, fuck you, you piece of shit. Like, what a absolute bum Patrick Beverly is. But he's always been a bum. Like, he's one of the biggest losers that we have in sports, and I hope that dude's not on an NBA roster next year, because I'm tired of having to hear about that guy. But yeah, keep all of those guys. Keep those three guys. Get rid of the rest of them, like Bobby Portis. See you later. Pat Connaughton, adios. They have young dudes that could be a thing, like the Andre Jackson. He's got some stuff to him. I loved him at UConn. I wish that Doc played AJ Green more because he can shoot. But listen, Doc Rivers is a guy who loves going down with the ship and loves going, if I'm being honest, the Bucks probably need to not bring Doc Rivers back. Let's just be real, because they can bring a coach in that might be, I don't know. The Adrian Griffin thing failed. So maybe Adrian Griffin's one of the 5 worst coaches in NBA history. I don't know. But yeah, man, I don't know listen, at the end of the day, Malik Beasley, no, you can bring, take it or leave it. Like that, what a disaster he was in the second half of the season. Yeah, man, the Bucks, they just got to retool, and they have a chance to do it. And I think there's a path for them, but it definitely isn't going to be easy. The one team we're not going to do a eulogy for is Miami, because this team bores me at this point. The pompous arrogance of this team to not take the regular season seriously, and to act the way they did. And then they tried multiple times to injure different players on the Celtics. team I really adored and appreciated what they were about, but Jesus Christ, man, they became so fucking unlikable. So the Heat can burn. I'm glad they got their absolute eyebrows singed by the Celtics. And people try to tell me like, oh, the Celtics, blah 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 after game 2. Like, yeah, Celtics in 5. And the Celtics won their 4 combined games by like 90 points. Like, even like it don't even give me the if Jimmy played. Like, it wouldn't have fucking mattered. Jimmy Butler, like, listen, and I'm not saying that to like hate on Jimmy Butler. I'm saying that because the motherfucker took the entire regular season off. Like, y'all expect me to believe that like that team was going to be legitimate? Fuck no. Absolutely not. Like, I hate everything that they stood for. In the offseason, they just kind of casually laissez-faired the offseason, thinking that they were just going to get handed Damian Lillard on a silver platter for like my on-air sign and this fucking neck fan thing. Instead of actually having to do work and give up assets, they decided to punt on that. Then in the regular season, they're like, we made the finals as an 8 seed last year because the entire East pissed on themselves. Let's just not give a shit during the regular season. We're the fucking Miami Heat. We'll do it again. Instead, no, they got absolutely torched in the first round, and I enjoyed it. My girlfriend's a Heat fan, and I'm sorry, honey, but I enjoyed watching your team get absolutely flambéed for the last week and a half. It made me happy. Okay, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we will have previews for tonight and a tasty round 2 preview. We got all that coming up next. Educating Ignorance Podcast, For Frequency's Sake Podcast Network.
Football season may be over, but For Frequency's Sake still has you covered for all your sporting needs. Tune in every Sunday when the best professional wrestling podcast around, Cards Subject to Change, gets you caught up on everything inside the ropes. They won't miss a count with weekly analysis and interviews. More into auto racing? We've got a double dose for you on the track. Tune in to Fast Money with Rod Villagomez each week and win some money with the quickest bets in all of sports. Want more insight from Pit Row? Check out the Green, White, and Checkered podcast where they give their insight on everything happening on and off the track. Need your basketball fix? Points in the Paint has you covered with live shows every other week looking at everything in the association. Backed by popular demand, we have the return of The Payoff Pitch, FFSQC's baseball show, covering you on news around the MLB. If you're missing football, don't fret. Mark and Dan still have you covered in the football lounge. Missing Joe Winkle? Probably not, but he's still here talking sports on Educated Ignorance. Football season might be over, but we've still got you covered. For frequency's sake, you know what we mean.
For Frequency's Sake is brought to you by Durham Remodeling, serving the Quad City area's remodeling and repair needs since 1973. Clint's Draft House, grab a bite and a pint. 7th Street Moline. Lopez, New York-style pizza served up by the slice or pie, Davenport. Lifted Energy, energy drinks, coffee, donuts, and more. #GetLifted. Atomic Sports Cards and Collectibles. Sports cards and memorabilia, vintage clothing, hats, pennants, and more. Ryan Allison Tattoo. Step into the vibrant world of tattoos with Ryan Allison. And A Cut Above, offering quality custom woodwork designed specifically around our customers.
Okie dokie. We are back. We are here. We are live. We're doing it live. I want to thank everybody hanging out with us. Another great crowd that we got hanging out with us on Twitter. We appreciate it. Like this, like the post, like the video. Do your stuff, folks. Whether you're hanging out with us for the first time, thank you for joining us, and we appreciate everything that are people that interact with us. We really enjoy it. So thank you for hanging out with us here today. Okay. Let's see where we are here. So we got 2 game 6s tonight, and then we have game 1 of round 2 tomorrow. Hold on, let me do something. All right. So, game 6 tonight, Cleveland versus Orlando. I think the biggest thing right now for the Magic, like, this isn't going to be another one of those things. Like, the Cavs have different kind of phases. It will be interesting to see if Jared Allen plays. I personally like the Cavs with Mobley at the 5. I just thought they were able to have more spacing and have more answers, but we'll see. The Magic tonight has to be, they got to have some guys going at home other than Paolo. which they've shot better at home. So you go back to like Saturday, game 3 or game 4, Paolo had a tough game. Uh, you know, Franz was awesome. You had some good Wendell Carter minutes. Jalen Suggs hit a bunch of shots. Jonathan Isaac, of course. Markelle Fultz. Like, you need guys like that to have big stretches here. Mo Wagner. Like, you have to have the bench today chip in. Cole Anthony hopefully isn't a nightmare fuel. Because in game 5, if it outside Apollo, it just, you didn't have anything there. Gary Harris got hurt early. Suggs had some production, but outside of him and Franz, like no one else had double figures, and no one else shot well. Ingles couldn't hit anything. Probably want to see more Markelle Fultz. He seems like he's kind of figured some stuff out, and I thought, he's probably the one guy that you could say maybe even played good off the bench in game 5. So I think for Orlando, the path is Paolo. If they're going to win this series, it has to be the others get it done for them tonight, and then Paolo goes out and turns into a superhero on Sunday in game 7. That's the path for the Magic. For the Cavs, the biggest thing for them was the fact that Darius Garland and Max Strus finally showed up to help out Donovan Mitchell. Strus hit 4 threes. Garland had 23 points. And that is something I'm interested to see, like how that translates to the road. Can Strus hit big shots again? I thought the fact that they let Marcus Morris ride off the bench, I thought he played really good minutes for them as well in game 5. So that'll be interesting to see tonight. Clippers and Mavs, after game 1 or 2 or whatever it was, I thought personally the Russell Westbrook minutes were the best minutes for the Clippers. I thought every rotation that worked had to have him on the floor because of his effort. Well, turns out I'm a moron because the Russell Westbrook minutes have just absolutely hit a brick wall, and everything that matters when it comes to him on the beat, like they just sag off of him, and they don't allow the like it's just a mess offensively, and it's clunky, and that's what game 5 was. Listen, at the end of the day, this series has been a variance, like it's been party at the variance store. In the 2 wins for the Clippers, let me just do some math here. In game 1, the Clippers shot 10 for what'd they shoot? They shot 18 for 36 from 3 in game 1. And in game 4, in a win, they shot 18 for 29. So that's pretty goddamn good. Like 60% from 3 in 2 games. And in the losses, the Mavs didn't shoot well. So, like, if the Clippers could roll out of bed tonight and shoot and hit 10 of their first 12 threes, it could happen. But will it happen? The other night we finally got that James Harden stinky game. And the rest of the team wasn't good. I thought Kyrie was great, just effort and energy-wise. Luke obviously had some moments. Mavericks are just taking advantage of guys that are out there and kind of mismatches and lazy defense. I thought Tyronn Lue kind of just was not good the other night, putting Plumlee and Russ Westbrook out there together to end the first half, and the Mavs just went to town on him. Listen, also shout out to Jason Kidd. He stuck with. Listen, he's played Lively more, but he rode Maxi Kleber in game 5, and it paid off. Kleber hit a bunch of threes. Basically, with each singular one, he told me to go fuck myself. After I basically said the other night that Kleber shouldn't see the floor anymore. Kleber had 5 of 7 threes. I do love that they are riding Lively more. He played 25 minutes, but at least Kleber shortened minutes, but he's out there hitting shots, so that's obviously big. Though you can't probably expect that tonight. I just think still Lively has been so good for them. They got to keep going with it. I expect Kyrie to have a lot of more juice on offense tonight, and he was great, I thought, the other night, even though he didn't score a whole lot, because I thought he went at Harden, and I thought his effort was great, but and his energy that he brought was great. But I think tonight offensively he will have much more juice than he did in game number 4 or in game number 5. I think the Mavs will win, but again, I won't be shocked tonight if we get to a 7th game, because the Clippers come out and they just shoot the ball like crazy. But we'll see. They need George and Harden to both be insane. Like, that's the path for them. Both of those guys have to come out and shoot the ball like crazy. Otherwise, the Mavs should win. They're much better. All right. Lastly, round 2 preview, first one of the first round 2 preview. So we're not going to do a preview for round 2 between the Knicks and the Pacers. That game 1 is Monday. So Monday's show, we will have a bit of a round 2 preview and we'll have a pick. Now there is a chance that Sunday we have 2 game 1s, even though they're saying that the Thunder series, no matter what's, going to start on Tuesday. I don't believe that. Game number 1. So we're going to have Magic Cavs. If the Cavs win tonight, we're probably going to have Boston Cleveland game 1 on Sunday. If not, we have a game 7. They're not going to do 1 game on Sunday, are they? That'd be a bit shocking. Regardless, I believe that Sunday we will have at least, I would hope we have a game 7 because that means my Magic won. But I would like to believe that if the Clippers win tonight, we're going to get Thunder's Clippers in week on Sunday, or Thunder's Mavs, excuse me, game 1 Sunday, but maybe not. I don't know. So we might miss a couple round 2 previews there regardless. I don't know. But anywho, games, Monday will be kind of a chance to fully slate up for the second round. But I do want to talk about this series starting tomorrow because I am juiced. Denver and Minnesota. Biggest questions for me. How do the Wolves match Jokic? How do they guard him? I expect they're going to come out and they're going to put they're going to put Karl Anthony Towns on Jokic in the half court. And they're going to have Rudy sit underneath and kind of be a rover. I think that the Wolves are the one team that are perfectly unique in being able to do this because of the fact that you are not just allowing, a smaller guy at the 4 be barbecued by Jokic. You are allowing a guy in Cat who has some size and some strength to him to be able to at least match up with Jokic and not just get put in the front row every time Jokic decides to post up. I think the Wolves are going to I think they'll mostly come out and try to play as much one-on-one as they can because I feel like the way this is right now, the best path for Minnesota is Denver right now is a bit of a wounded duck. KCP is injured. Their bench has not come together yet. Jamal Murray has some injury issues. He had shin splints. He had the calf strain. Who knows where he's at right now? Reggie Jackson coming off the bench. He's got some issues. His ankles are injured. So, all of those guys right now, they are not whole. Can the Wolves just play one-on-one and use their aggression defensively to kind of take other guys away? How well can Jaden McDaniels cover Jamal Murray? This is probably the best perimeter defender Murray has faced. You go back through last year. Because remember, when these two teams played last year, Jaden McDaniels went full moron and punched a wall in game 82. That did not happen this year. Let's go, baby. And Jaden McDaniels will suit up tomorrow. And you bet your bottom dollar that Jaden's going to be guarding Jamal Murray. So that'll be fascinating to see. Like I mentioned, how deep the Nuggets are. We're going to be wondering that all game. So in round 1, Christian Brown, who had good moments last postseason and had a couple good-ass moments, like game 3 or 4, was it, of the finals? He was incredible. He has had some moments in the playoffs. But so far, he has not been good. The shot has not been there. And Peyton Watson as well, the shot has not been there. So how do those guys, do they get better in this round? Because if not, and you're having to just rely on hoping these 5 guys can kind of cook, could be very tough. For Minnesota, obviously, you have the big piece with Karl Anthony Towns. He has to be locked in. He has to do everything he can to stay out of foul trouble. If I was picking Minnesota, and to be honest, I don't think I've made my decision yet. I'm gonna make my decision in the next 3 minutes. If I was picking Minnesota, my biggest worry would be Karl Towns playing one-on-one with Jokic and him being in insane foul trouble. They have to beat it into his head. Don't foul. Do not give them free points because Karl Anthony Towns is going to have to be someone who can hopefully exploit mismatches. Now, I think they'll probably put Gordon on him. I think because you can't put Aaron Gordon on Anthony Edwards because like Towns would absolutely obliterate MPJ. Like he just would. Like the Suns tried to do that with Devin Booker, and maybe you'd want to put like KCP on him because even though he's undersized, at least he's like aggressive. Like I don't know, I just don't think that's a sound way to operate. I want to see the Wolves try to use pick and roll with Anthony Edwards, with Conley, to navigate and attack the Jokic drop coverage, see how that works, see how that's going. I want to see, I'm interested to see the biggest thing, in my opinion, that will lead to a win here. And Naz Reid isn't in this, but I do want to shout him out. Like, I think he is well coming off the bench. Like, they didn't have him either in that first round series last year. So, like, having McDaniels and Reid are huge for the Wolves in this series compared to last year. The biggest thing in my mind that will determine this series is the role player roulette hell in a cell that we will see between, for Denver, Michael Porter Jr., KCP and Aaron Gordon, and for the Wolves, Jaden McDaniels and Michael Conley, and Nickeil Alexander-Walker. You could add Naz Reid, you could add the guys off the bench, but I'm just saying, like, Nickeil Alexander-Walker is clearly not their sixth man because Naz Reid is, but like you could put like Nickeil and Naz Reid together in a sense. But I'm just thinking because Naz Reid and Nickeil Alexander-Walker was so good in round number 1 with his shot making, like I feel like that's something that could absolutely carry them in this series if he can be somebody that can be relied on to hit some outside shots in some of these games. It could be a tipping point. In the regular season, Jokic killed Minnesota, but he kills everybody. He had 33 points, just under 12 boards, 4 assists, and also shot well from 3, 40%. Michael Porter Jr. had just under 16 points and 6 rebounds a game. Jaden McDaniels, 14.5 points a game. So I'm going to be interested to see that at Conley with 18 points a game. So be interested to see if those two guys can keep it up. Conley has had some moments. I thought both offensively were surprises and sparks in those first rounds. So we'll see. All right. You all know what I'm pondering. I said to myself all this time I wasn't going to do it. I can't do it. I hate that I'm doing it, but I can't do it. Nuggets in 7. I just can't fathom. And listen, if the Mavs win tonight and the Magic come back and win this game and win this series, I will have gone 8 for 8 in the postseason. We picked the Nuggets to win. We picked the Thunder to win. We picked the teams that have already won. We picked the Thunder, the Wolves, and the Nuggets. And in the East, we picked Boston, Knicks, Pacers. So we're 2 away from a perfect 8 for 8. I'm not scared of the immaculate postseason grid, and it's why I'm picking Denver. It's just I told myself I'm not going to do it. And as much as I would love for Minnesota, listen, this is the moment, though. This is the moment where Anthony Edwards is here to try to seize the moment. And can Anthony Edwards do it is the question. We're going to find out. I think he can, but the question is going to be, is this going to be his version of the Detroit Pistons like it was for Michael Jordan? Will it be, because at the end of the if Anthony Edwards can stare down Nikola Jokic and take the crown from the defending champ, then guys, we have to seriously rewrite what we believe in. And like, I think the Wolves are, I think these are probably if I'm being honest, these are the 2 best teams left. I think both of these teams would beat the Thunder, and I love the Thunder in a 7-game series. And I think both of these teams would beat Boston. But the question is like, can what the T-Wolves did in round 1, did they find themselves, and can that carry over to round 2? With the others chipping in, like McDaniels, like Alexander Walker, Naz Reid, like on the offensive end, can Conley be consistent? Can Cat keep it going? And can Anthony Edwards continue this momentum that he is on and this trajectory he's on which, I mean, I'm not going to doubt, but it's just hard to see what the Nuggets have done. Listen, the Nuggets have been absolute clutch merchants so far. They have not played well. So part of me is picking them too, expecting that they are going to play better. But I will say this. If the Nuggets are still this kind of team that's still laboring around and not at full gear yet, the Wolves are going to get them. Tomorrow's going to be fascinating to see how each team handles tomorrow and what each team looks like. 6 days off for the Thunder or for the Wolves, 5 days off for the Nuggets. So both teams will be pretty rested. We'll see. I'm fascinated. Whew. All right, 56 minutes in the books. We are done. All right. Thank everybody for watching. Thank everybody for hanging out. We had another great audience on Twitter. Want to thank everybody that hung out with us there. As always, like this video, share it, please. We really appreciate it. Follow, peep our friends at Beat the Book and Outlier. Want to thank everybody that hung out with us. This has been the Educated Ignorance Podcast, presented by Durham Remodeling, Ryan Allison Tattoo, and Jared Zook Country Financial. We'll see you guys back here on Monday at evening to recap the weekend that was and to preview the rest of the round 2 series. And we'll have a doubleheader on Monday. We'll have Pacers Knicks game 1, and we will have Wolves Nuggets game 2. We'll see you guys on Monday. We are out. This has been the Educated Ignorance Podcast. If you ain't got your game, best pass the sticks. We'll see you guys Monday. Have a great weekend. Enjoy the sports ahead. We'll see you.